Hey guys, welcome on today's episode of the Myth Busting Real Estate Edition, episode number two. Today, guys, specifically, we're going to talk about zero down real estate. I get this question asked all the time. Mamadou, how do I buy real estate with zero money down? Or is it true that you can buy real estate with zero money down? I literally get this question this whole week. And so, guys, if you're new into this channel, consider to subscribe, like, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out when I put out new content and help you in your real estate journey. Listen, my name is Mamadou Diallo, and I own over 3.5, or at this point that I'm speaking right now, probably 4 million in buy and hold real estate. And I bought it all, using none of my own credit, no money, right, and no credentials. And today we're going to talk about some case studies on how we're able, my partners and I, to do so. And so the first thing is this, guys. The first thing I want to address is this: the myth of buying real estate with zero down. What do people mean? What do gurus mean when they talk about online? Hey, I just bought a property with zero down, blah, blah, blah. I have a few of those in my pipeline right now. And last week we've closed a bunch, right? But what does that exactly mean? Does it mean that I talk to sellers and they hand me their keys and I start collecting rent and then I can go to Mexico and chill and sip on pina coladas, right? Is that what it means? I don't have to spend a penny. I can get a free house and start cash flowing on it and get what we call passive income. And so, guys, that's the myth right there. The myth is you can buy a real estate deal and spend absolutely zero. When I say zero, spend absolutely zero money at all and start making money in it, blah, blah. Like, that's a myth, right? Here's a scenario. Here's your best case scenario. Let's say hypothetically you're buying a property, and let's say you're buying a rental. You're buying a rental, the property is already tenant occupied. You contacted a seller off market. If you're a real estate investor and you want to get the best deals, obviously you want to go off market, which is how we buy our properties, because you can negotiate directly with the seller. There's not a lot of people involved. You can negotiate better terms and all that fun stuff, right? And so let's say hypothetically you found a seller motivated to sell, right? And you convince them for whatever reason. And I'm going to give a case study on how we did exactly this. You convince the seller to become your bank and sell you their house. Let's say they're selling the house for $300,000. But instead of you having to go and walk into Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America and qualify for that $300,000, you tell the seller, hey, if I could give you that $300,000, can I just upgrade you from being the owner or the landlord of this property to becoming the bank, right? And so I become the owner, I deal with all the headaches, I deal with the tenants, and you become the bank, and you just collect monthly checks every single month because you're just a bank, right? The same way if you had a loan with Wells Fargo, if the toilet leaks or the roof caves, you don't call Wells Fargo, you fix it, right? Same thing. So let's say hypothetically the seller agrees. The seller agreed, hey, I'm going to sell you my house at $300,000 and I'm going to be the bank. So you're going to give me a down payment. Let's say the down payment is $5,000. Okay. I'm just making up a number. Let's say the down payment is $5,000. You already have a tenant inside that property, cash flowing, let's say $1,500 a month, and the property is turnkey. You absolutely have to do nothing to it. You don't have to clean the carpet. You don't have to paint it. You don't have to do nothing. You can just literally close on it, get the key, and start and keep collecting the rent that existing tenant was already paying. Even with this perfect scenario, which by the way, doesn't exist in real estate. Okay, that's another myth. Doesn't exist in real estate, the perfect scenario. Even with this hypothetical perfect scenario, you will still, some way, shape, or form, right, have to spend a little bit of money. Why is that? Why do you have to spend some money regardless? Because if you buy a real estate, even though you just turn this owner into a bank and you don't have to go and walk to Wells Fargo, right, to qualify to buy the property, right? You're not buying it cash, right? Even with that, when you buy a real estate, you have to go through a closing attorney or a title company to do all the legal paperwork, transfer deed and title, right? There are costs associated with that. We call that closing costs. You're gonna have to pay that. Depending on the state, you can count between $2,000 to $5,000. I used to do real estate, which I actually still do in Maryland, and you can spend up to $10,000 just on closing costs. So even if it's just that, even let's say hypothetically everything else is perfect, the tenant is paying, the property is turnkey, you don't have to clean it, nothing. Even if it's just the closing costs, you still have to bring that 2 grand to $5,000 to the table. So you would have to spend some money. Let's say hypothetically, even I take off the fact that the seller wanted $5,000 down. Let's say the seller wants zero. I'll finance you $300,000, the seller says, and I want zero money down. Don't even give me money. Just make me those monthly payments every single month. Let's say, pay me $1,000 a month. Let's say the seller says, pay me $1,000 a month. And the tenant, the current existing tenant, is bringing in $1,500 a month. Well, you're cash flowing $500 a month gross, right? Even with that scenario, with zero money to seller, zero repairs to the property, you don't have to even go find a tenant. The tenant is already in. You still have to bring some money to the table to close on that property. The title company have to get paid. The closing attorney have to get paid, right? So even if it's just that, right? So the myth is the zero down, okay? Typically, gurus use that, guys, as a clickbait because YouTube is for entertainment. It's not really for education, because most of you don't want to invest in a mentor, you don't want to invest in a coach, so you want to go on YouTube and figure things out by yourself. What happens is on YouTube, people use clickbait. Reason being, if they don't put those kind of titles, zero money down, zero real estate down, whatever, guess what? You won't click on it, you wouldn't watch it, right? And so, how can you still buy a property with zero money down? Here's what they mean and we mean when we create videos and we say we just bought a property, right, with zero money down. What we really mean is we bought a property with zero of our own money down. The great thing about real estate is that money, whether you're just paying the closing costs or maybe you're giving the seller, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be your money. And I'll give you a case study on how we did this. Just bought a property. Property is worth around $150,000. This is in Illinois. That property today is a midterm rental, and we're renting it to traveling nurses. It's bringing about 75 to 7,800 every single month. It's literally right across the hospital, right? How did we buy that property? Same scenario. We rose the seller, so we upgraded the seller to the bank. So the seller financed the 150. She asked to be given 15,000 down as the bank, which we gave her, and every single month we're making her a payment somewhere around like $800 a month. Think about that. We're making her payments of $800 a month, and this property is bringing in 75 to 7,800 every single month, right? So we had to give her a down payment, and then we had to cover the closing cost. And then after that, because this property needed some work, so it needed some, I think it needed flooring. We had to redo the kitchen a little bit. The appliances was great, and then we had to furnish it because the midterm, so we had to buy some beds and all these kind of things, right? Obviously, we had to spend some money. Every single property, typically, if you're getting your deals off market, typically those properties need some way, shape, or form, a little bit of work, even if it's just cleaning the carpet. So you have to spend some money. But here's the great thing. You don't have to spend your own money. Guess what? Because this seller became our bank, the first thing is we didn't have to go to Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo to qualify for that $150,000 and bring it cash to the table to buy the property, right? She became the bank. She's just asking $15,000 down. We covered the closing cost, and then she can finance us over 7 years, the remaining equity, and then we'll pay her out whenever the remaining balance is due, right? Well, we decided, which is how we bought all of our portfolio. Today, our portfolio is probably worth 4 million or maybe over, right? And all of it, we bought it not only creatively using this strategy here, which is called seller finance when the seller owns the free and clear, but we also do a lot of subject tools, which is when the seller have a loan in place, we'll take over the responsibility of the monthly payments, have the seller leave that loan in their name, and we transfer deed and title, and we own the property, so we don't even have to qualify for that loan, right? So we do a lot of that. But the money part, guess what? We go to somebody else that has money in their 401k, or maybe they just have money in a savings account, doing nothing, earning 0.0 nothing. They bring their money to the table, and we use that money to cover the 15,000, the closing costs, the holding costs, because once you close, Obviously, you have to hold the property maybe 1 month, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 months, whatever, to do the renovation, clean the property, furnish it. In our case, because we were doing a midterm, which is rented to traveling nurses, we had to renovate it, we had to clean it, we had to furnish the property and get it ready, then list it on Airbnb. I think we listed it on Furnish Finders and all that fun stuff in order to be able to fill in nurses, right? And so all of those are expenses. So there is no such thing. It is a myth to think you can buy real estate with absolutely zero money, but you can absolutely buy real estate with zero of your own money. You leverage other people's money, use other people's money. So the person that lended on this property, guess what they did? Because they're smart, they use their 401k and they turn that into a self-directed, and now they're lending on this deal. They're our funding partner on this deal, and guess what? They're getting every single month a return on their money. I think we're giving them 10% every single month, guys, every single month. So they're getting 10% every single month passively on this property, and it's tax-free. Why? Because they're lending from their 401k that they turned into self-directed. So guys, can you buy real estate using no money, no credit, no credential, none of that? Yes, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. But really, you can do it without using none of yours, none of your money, none of your credit, none of your credentials. But you always have to leverage other people's money, other people's credit, other people's credentials. When I buy property, where I take over an underlying loan, where I don't transfer the loan to my name, I leave it on the seller's name, and I just take over the responsibility of the monthly payments. I keep making those payments on their behalf, and now I own the property. I transfer deed and title, and let's say even if I spend just $2,000 to close on the property, well, guess what? Not only the $2,000, I'm going to people that have 401ks, people that have money in their savings account, not doing anything, earning 0.0 per nothing. I offer them between 10 to 12%. They give me the money to fund my deal. So not only with the seller, I just leverage a debt. So I took over the debt that they already qualified for me. Or if they own it free and clear, I turn them into the bank in the case of the case study that I just gave you. And then I go to somebody else and get the money, and I use that money to pay my closing costs, carrying costs, designing, furnishing, and all that fun stuff. So the myth is you can buy a house with no money at all. The reality is you can buy real estate with no of your own money. You don't have to use your own money. You don't have to use your own credit. You don't have to use your own credentials. And that's how you want to buy real estate if you're a badass. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you got any value out of it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Guys, listen, if you're new into this channel, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know if there is any other topics you want me to touch on, and I'd be more than happy to have my team put it on my to-do list, and I'll reply to your questions or your comments through videos. Until next time, guys, stay bold and be bold. And most importantly, make sure you take action. Make sure you take action, because the reality is, guys, no deals land on people's laps. You have to take action. You have to be out there. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to either have the connections or have the money or have the time to put in the sweat equity in order to get deals. But trust me, especially not right now in 2023 with interest rate being super high and whatnot, listen to me. You want to learn these creative strategies on how to turn sellers into the bank, or how to take over people's mortgages and buy real estate without using none of your own credit, none of your own credentials, and none of your own money. Guys, today it was the second episode of the Myth Busting Real Estate Edition. And until next time, stay bold and be bold. Boom, boom, boom.